Alright, what's going on, guys? So, if you've been keeping up with From Software news lately, specifically on the Bloodborne side, there's been quite the commotion going on for a few weeks now. I've been seeing a lot of media outlets covering a lot of different things, and a whole lot of misinformation going around about a supposedly leaked Bloodborne remaster and a potential Bloodborne 2. So I went and did my due diligence about all the leaks that have been coming out recently, and we're gonna go through them and we're gonna figure out which ones are credible and which ones have been debunked. So before we get started, as always guys, make sure you're subscribed to the channel to stay up to date with all the latest From Software news, and for some other cool Souls videos that I think you'll enjoy. And I do know that only about 5% of you guys that watch my content are subscribed, so if you don't mind, go ahead and press that subscribe button down there. It really helps me out a lot. And I want to preface this video by saying that I want some more Bloodborne content just as much as you guys. My goal with this channel is not to spread hopium around, but provide an objective viewpoint about these leaks and give you the most honest coverage, which is what I'm going to be doing today. Now let's get into it. So the first leak that we're going to be taking a look at today is one that's been making the rounds over the past few weeks about a potential sequel or spiritual successor to Bloodborne. And this leak comes from 4chan, which if you watched a lot of my Elden Ring content, you know I don't cover 4chan leaks. So I held off on covering this one when it was making kind of a big stir in the community, and I'm glad I did, because more information about it has come out since then. So let's take a look at it. The leak says, From Software and Sony have agreed to make a PlayStation exclusive game in mid to late 2017, and development for it began in 2018 and picked up pace in early 2019. The game's codename is Velvet Veil. From what I can understand, the game is not directly a sequel or prequel to Bloodborne, but a spiritual successor. Sony will show the game after Elden Ring gets released in January 2022. It'll most likely be shown around summer 2022, and with a predicted release date around February to March 2023. It'll release solely on the PS5, and I do not know if this game will release later on PC. Now that's where I'm going to stop reading. You can read the rest if you want to. Now after this leak came out, it blew up, and I was seeing it everywhere on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, and pretty much every gaming news outlet was posting about this. And they all had one thing in common. They were claiming that the leaker was the same person who sent Reddit DMs a long time ago that correctly predicted Dark Souls Remastered, Sekiro, and Elden Ring. But the problem is, the person that actually received the DMs came out claiming and showed proof that this was false. So there is absolutely no connection between the 4chan leaker and the Reddit DMs. So this is a completely anonymous leaker with absolutely no credibility, which is why I hesitate to cover 4chan leaks. So just know that the Velvet Veil leak is probably not true, and there's nothing to back it up. So moving on to the next one. This next leaker claims to have inside knowledge about a Bloodborne Remastered coming out very soon, and there's actually multiple of these. So the first one is a tweet from Tim Rogers, a game journalist who has made accurate predictions in the past, and he's claiming in this tweet that he has an inside source that tells him that a Bloodborne remake is being announced very soon. Now he does say in the tweet next week, and you can clearly see that the date on that is June 11th, so that did not happen. But I want to give him the benefit of the doubt on this and say that he was probably joking with the whole having an uncle that works at the Power of Positive Thinking thing. But as with the Velvet Veil leak, article after article was coming out about this, and I was seeing posts everywhere, and once again, there's not much credibility here. But I don't want to spend too much time on this because I'm not very familiar with Tim Rogers himself. But the next leak is the one that blew up the most, and this one actually has a shred of credibility. Now this is a tweet from the user Souls Hunt, and obviously I can't read it, but the article says an ambitious PS5 remaster will ship later in 2021. According to French language Twitter poster Souls Hunt, who correctly leaked Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin prior to its announcement at E3. Contrary to earlier rumors though, the person says that neither From Software nor Austin's Bluepoint Games are working on the Bloodborne update. A sequel isn't happening meanwhile because From Software is said to prefer working on new franchises. Now after this tweet came out, Bloodborne was trending on Twitter and literally everywhere was talking about it. Now there are a few points in that leak that I want to talk about that do offer it a little bit of credibility. First of all, he says that neither From Software nor Bluepoint are working on this remaster. Now that would make sense, because as we know, Omnipotent, who is the most reliable From Software insider, said that he has no knowledge about anything Bloodborne related going on at From Software. Also, as of right now, there's really no knowledge about what Bluepoint could be working on next. The only thing I'm curious about is if this really were in the works, we'd likely have an idea of who the studio was that would be handling the project. And I'm really concerned about them saying that it's coming out before Elden Ring. I really don't think that would be the case, because typically From From Software likes to announce the remakes 5 to 6 months before the release, and if this really were happening, we'd be getting this announcement very soon. So personally, I don't think this is very likely. I like to believe Omnipotent's take on this and that there really is nothing Bloodborne related going on right now, at least on From Software's side. So I think the most likely scenario is that Sony is working with a different studio on either a PC port or a remaster that From Software is involved with in name only, but I just don't see this happening before Elden Ring. They just added Bloodborne to PlayStation Hits on PS5 that has a much more stable performance than on the PS4. So if this was just a performance upgrade, I really don't see the necessity for that, but that's just my thoughts on it. I also want to quickly touch on another leak that I've seen floating around a little bit, and that's about the leaker Queen and a few people getting a hold of a test build for the Bloodborne PC port. So we do know that Sony has been moving some more PlayStation exclusive to PC, and that's been opening up the discussion about Bloodborne. And with that, a lot of people have been finding this old leak about a person named Queen that supposedly tested a PC port of Bloodborne. So basically what's going on here is they put out a long list of games that they supposedly tested for Sony on PC. Now, Queen was not the only one to put out this list. Another one was the user Crazy Leaks on a Train, but they were later found out to be a fraud. It's also important to note that the list that Queen put out has seen some inconsistencies, and I believe that that list also includes the Demon's Souls remake, which, if you remember from the reveal, did say coming to PC later at the bottom, but we're 99% sure that was a mistake. So while this leak has yet to be totally debunked, there's virtually no credibility to this. The only leak that we've seen so far that even has a shred of credibility is the Bloodborne remaster one, and personally I'm very skeptical about that. And you guys know, if you watch my channel, I like all this kind of speculation. I covered all kinds of leaks and rumors about Elden Ring, but I only covered the ones that had credibility behind them, and I believe all of them turned out to be true. And like I said at the beginning, I want more Bloodborne content just as much as you guys, but what I don't want to do is come on here and give you some false hope about something that probably isn't happening. So I hope this video wasn't too disappointing to you guys. I just wanted to come on here and give you the truth about the situation so that you don't get excited about something that likely doesn't exist. Now again, these haven't been totally debunked. I would absolutely love to be wrong about all this, but unfortunately there's just not any credibility there. But anyways, that's gonna pretty much do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like on it and subscribe if you're not already. I've got a really exciting announcement coming at 5K subs, and I don't think it's going to be too long before we get there. The support on the channel recently has been absolutely insane, and I can't say thank you enough for that. But anyways, that's going to pretty much do it, and I'll catch you in the next one.